One day is indeed a very long time in politics. And ladies and gentlemen, something yesterday happened pertaining the African Union chairperson election that's about to happen Saturday, that's tomorrow. And yesterday, SADC wrote a letter to its member states advising them to support the Madagascar candidate. And this is having a great effect on the Raila Odinga, the Kenyan candidate, on his ambition to win the African Union chair position. And ladies and gentlemen, we want to look into this letter. But before we look into this letter, remember that the SADC is the South Africa Development Community. Just like we have the East Africa Community Development Community, countries from South African part of Africa have their community called the SADC, that's the South Africa Development Community. And its secretariat yesterday wrote this letter to its member states. And it's saying that the South Africa Development Community Secretariat reference candidate from the SADC region for the position of the chairperson of the African Union Commission. Reference is made to the above subject matter. You may wish to recall that at its meeting held in August 2024 in Harare, Zimbabwe, Council directed the SADC Committee of Ambassadors in Addis Ababa, in collaboration with the Office of the Permanent Representative to the African Union, to closely monitor the process of the election of senior leadership of the African Union Commission and provide further guidance on the way forward and on the best strategy to be adopted once the panel of eminent Africans finalizes its shortlisting, and encouraged all member states to offer support to the shortlisted candidates from the SADC region for the different posts of the senior leadership of African Union Commission. The Republic of Madagascar and Mauritius had in August 2024 Council submitted a candidate each for the position of the African Union Commission, namely Richard Randriamandrato and Mr. Anli Gayan, respectively. We have since learned that Mauritius has withdrawn a candidate, leaving Madagascar as the only member state from SADC region to compete for the position. I write to notify you, Honorable Minister. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this letter is being addressed to Minister of Foreign Affairs from different regions within the SADC member states. And it says, I write to notify you, Honorable Minister, that Honorable Richard Randriamandrato, a former Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Madagascar, has been shortlisted as the only candidate from the SADC region for the position of chairperson of the African Union Commission. In this regard, the Republic of Madagascar has written to the Secretariat seeking support of SADC member states for its candidate. In consultation with the chairperson of council, and given the short time before election of the chairperson, there is no need to convene an extraordinary council of ministers to consider the request of Madagascar. A letter from the Secretariat seeking SADC member states support for Madagascar candidates should suffice. This letter, therefore, serves to encourage SADC member states to support Mr. Richard Randriamandrato, a candidate from our region, for the position of the AUC chairperson during upcoming election of the senior leadership of African Union Commission, in line with the August 2024 Council decision stated above. Please accept, Honorable Ministers, the assurance of my highest consideration. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a letter that was addressed to the Secretary, from the Secretary to 16 member states of SADC. Remember that SADC consists of 16 member states, and they're asking support to the Madagascar candidate. And as you've heard, this letter is being just released 2 days to the election. And ladies and gentlemen, as you have heard, this is having a great impact on the Raila Odinga AUCC bid. Why? Remember that if you saw the list I had shared with you in my just former video, and this is the list, I can share it once again. You notice that Raila Odinga, countries that were perceived to support Raila Odinga were 29 countries. That's if we had one country, that's Kenya, to the 28 countries. There were 29 countries. But why this letter is really impactful to the Raila Odinga bid is that 6 countries in this list of Raila Odinga perceived countries to support him are from the SADC region. And now the SADC Secretariat is asking them to support a different candidate from their region. And you can see these countries in the Raila Odinga. This is DRC, it's a member of the SADC. Mauritius is the member of the SADC. We have Lesotho, which is a member of the SADC. We have Botswana is a member of SADC. We have Namibia and Mozambique, members of SADC. 6 countries. And these countries were all on the list of countries perceived to go to vote for Raila Odinga during this upcoming election. Ladies and gentlemen, in any case, now this is where this matter gets complicated. In any case, assuming in assumption that these countries will listen to the address that has been given from their secretariat and join us to form a 16 block to vote for the Madagascar candidate, Mr. Richard, then this is going to be a very, very big blow to Raila Odinga, because he will have lost 6 countries. This will return him to about 24 states now, 23 states now supporting him. That's why this letter is really brought what you saw yesterday, people talking about it. But the most interesting thing about the AUCC election is that this election is secret ballot. As much as you have campaigned, as much as this secretariat is writing letters to member states seeking support, this is not an election that you stand and say, I'm voting for Raila Odinga, I'm voting for the Mauritius candidate. This election is secret ballot. You cannot tell who voted for you or who did not vote for you. A member state can, from the SADC, can decide to still vote for Raila Odinga, and nobody will know whether he voted or she voted for Raila Odinga. And equally, even a member of East Africa community can decide to change allegiance and support a different candidate, and nobody will tell, because it's a secret ballot election. And we'll be watching tomorrow to see what will conspire. But that's the latest development, ladies and gentlemen. But remember that the way this election is going to be conducted, that it's going to have 3 rounds in the first round. That's in round 1, if no candidate will reach the 2/3 required points for you to win. That's, you require 2/3. That's 2 plus countries, and which is eminent now that SADC is supporting one of their candidates who was perceived to be weak. There are high chances that this election will not be determined in round 1. So round 1, maybe a candidate can win with 20, 23, 24. So the election will be go to a lobbying round. That's round 2. And still, if there is no candidate who will have reached the 2/3 required number, that's 2 countries plus out of the 49 that will be voting, they will go to round 3. And round 3, still, if there is no candidate who will have achieved that cutoff of 32, or that's the 2/3 required number, it will force the number 3 candidate to drop out, and the election will run between the first and second candidate. Those who will have who will have taken position 1 and position 2 will run in the 4th round, and the candidate number 3 will drop. Ladies and gentlemen, if this election is going to go to the 3rd round, and let's say that this SADC supported candidate of Mauritius fails to reach the required 2/3 cutoff, it will force that, ladies and gentlemen, if this candidate of Madagascar fails to maybe becomes number 3 in the 3rd round, it will force that this Madagascar candidate, Mr. Richard, supports either Raila Odinga or the Djibouti candidate Yusuf Mahmoud. Remember that Yusuf Mahmoud is a strong candidate because of the Islamic factor and the French factor, because a lot of North African countries are expected to vote for him. That includes Egypt and the Arab-speaking nations, because of the fact that he is an Islam, he speaks Arab and he speaks French. Ladies and gentlemen, so this, in the round 3, if this candidate drops out, Mr. Richard Randriamandrato, he will either support, these member states of SADC will either support Raila Odinga or support Djibouti candidate. And this is now going to be the determinant on who is going to win. But in case in the 4th round, neither Raila Odinga or the let's say that Raila Odinga and the Djibouti candidate go to 1 and number 2, then they fail to get the 2 required 2/3. Maybe say they divide those votes to 24, 25. The election will be postponed to a later date, and the deputy chair who will be have been elected will be acting chair until election will be conducted in a different date. That's what's going to happen on Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. But the election is now complicated more than we expected, now that SADC is asking 16 member states to support a single candidate from their bloc. And we underrated the Madagascar candidate, but this candidate is going to be very, very strong, and he is expected to get a good number of votes. If he gets only 10 votes from the SADC member states, it's an assurance that there is an high possibility that this election cannot be determined in round 1 or round 2. It might go to round 3, and it might go even to the round where they're only going to remain 2 candidates to seek that support. We'll be watching, ladies and gentlemen, but remember to subscribe, like this channel, so that whenever I'm doing such a video, you are always notified. Have a nice day and stay safe. Tomorrow, be with me. I'll be updating you what will be conspiring in Addis Ababa when that election will be taking place. Have a nice day, ladies and gentlemen.